Welcome to Stars and Stripes. Our flag is the symbol of freedom and justice for all. Many brave Americans fought and died for this freedom. America was founded on Judeo-Christian principles. When we allow our Constitution to be destroyed and God is taken out of America, there is and can be no freedom.
Welcome to Stars and Stripes. We're back with Michael Karachun talking about the election and our President-elect Donald Trump and how he became president, really, of this country, this great country. And that won't be until January. But let's continue our conversation. Welcome, Mike Karachun, to Stars and Stripes.
Glad to be back.
Well, we left off last time talking about the one world order and how the Democrats and Republicans are together and behind the scenes that the general public really don't know what's going on. Finish telling us about it.
Well, I'm aggravated with the general public and especially the church. And I guess that's why whenever I give a sermon in a church, I don't usually get invited back. Like the last time I gave a sermon in a church, and there's a reason, this is all playing into this. I let them know I'm not here to entertain you. That's what a lot of churches do now. They entertain. They got a band. They got this loud speaking, or something like, or they got the other one that's this real soft speaking, sound like he's your best friend. Mm-hmm. And I'm not there to entertain when I go in. I'm there, I'm going to tell you the truth. This is how it is. And then I go ahead and prove it. So you can say you're going to tell the truth. They don't care, they dismiss that. But when you prove it, and then it's hitting everybody at home, they don't want to look in that mirror. So you don't get invited back. So now what I'm doing is, in these conversations that we have, I'm asking the American people, go look in the mirror. They don't want to look in the mirror. No, they want to keep playing their games. Well, it's cost them. God says it very clearly. If you want to live a lie, He spells it out. It's going to cost you. How does the truth set you free? I always heard a lot of these false sermons about the truth will set you free. No, it won't. Truth can't set you free. Just because you know it's the truth, unless you apply the truth.
Amen.
And you apply it the way it's supposed to be applied with wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, and then have the courage to stand there and saying, this is how it's going to be, it's worthless.
Always said, without application, there is no salvation.
Yeah, you've got to have application. You listen to all the false preaching you want to, but the Lord addressed it. But so let's get on to the election now.
Yes.
I brought up Y2K.
Right.
Well, I looked at that, and back then, I had a lot of feeds, a lot of contacts. I was in the business world then that gave me contacts all around the world. All around. I was actually an advocate in some things, which gave me contacts in other ways.
Right.
I eventually had to give that up because there's only 24 hours a day. You got to sleep and eat some of them.
Thank you.
I eventually just ran out of hours in a day. But I got to meet. I mean, I'd get calls from New Zealand, Europe, South America, you name it. I got to talk to a lot of people, meet a lot of people. Anyhow, if you get enough information, you know what's going on.
Right.
Especially when it's all independent, they're all saying the same thing, and they don't know one another. That's the best way to verify information.
Amen.
So anyhow, what did I find out? I found out that Y2K was going to be a big farce to scare the American people. That this is one of the oldest ploys that has been around, folks, for 6,000 years. You would think people would catch on. Hitler caught on to it. He said, why tell a little lie? Tell a big lie and tell it enough times and they'll believe it. It worked for him, didn't it?
Sure did.
Matter of fact, if you look up all the dictators in the world, Mussolini,
yes,
or go as far back, they all did the same thing. Well, what's one of the main things of the New World Order we touched on? Lie after lie after lie. I'm not a fan of the mainline news media. I got good reason for that. personal reasons, by the way. So we don't have time to get into it. They're just an extension of the government. Well, who's running the government? The NWO. They're an extension of them. I found this out during the Kennedy assassination. And I wish we had time to get into that, but I don't. But what I'm saying is, they filter the news. Am I saying all the anchors and all these people are bad people? No, I'm not saying that. But here's the problem again, folks. They're not in control. Once they start reporting real news, don't you notice how they're no longer with the network? Have you noticed how someone comes and sits on them and tells them to be muzzled down? Well, Y2K was to put enough fear into population. The New World Order was trying to push their one world government right there. It's going to crash around the world. I had people, especially one businessman, come up, Mike, what do you think's going to happen? And I said, well, if the American people don't wake up, it's going to happen. I said, it doesn't have to happen, but since they're in control of these systems, they can make it look like it happened. But I said, if the American people wake up, these people are basically cowards. They don't want anything to come back on them because they've got so much to lose. They're so rich. They're so powerful. They don't want to take a chance on losing all that and becoming a nobody. And if the American people or people around the world get enraged enough, they could lose their mansions. They could lose their billions and trillions of dollars. They could lose it because for every one of them, there's tens and hundreds of thousands of us. I said, the question is, are the American people going to wake up? And I pulled some great, and I was in a position I could pull these tricks back then. I said, now then, if they become alive on the internet and they flood the internet, because the internet was just becoming really big back then.
Right.
And they flooded, because I said the American government is watching this. All the governments are watching this. And they showed them, we're wise to you, we know the trick that you're doing, and we're going to be so mad and fed up with you, this is what we're going to do. I said, if those airways get flooded like that, I said, Y2K is going to fail. Because they know the American people and the people of the world are onto them. Well, World Trade Center, you had the same thing. Do you realize that they advertised a year or two in advance, advertised, printed brochures, World Trade Center is going to get hit. This is how it's going to be hit. See, most people don't have a good memory. They even had drills on how the Pentagon was going to be hit. They placed this in the American people's mind, just like Y2K. Do you remember Y2K? Every night it was in the news.
Right.
They even had TV programs of the end of the world convincing the American people. That's known as psyops, playing on the mind. Okay, well, if you're sold into television, watching all this garbage on TV, eventually you're training your mind to go right the way they want.
Yes, true.
I remember I listened to an interview of a CIA agent. He was in psyops. And the interview just playing, what's the best way to protect your mind from being controlled? Because people think their minds aren't controlled. Yeah, they are. You keep feeding garbage into a computer, garbage is going to come out. You keep putting garbage in your brain, it only knows how to work one way, folks. I'm sorry. That's just the way it is. You know what he said? You know what his answer was? His number one answer? He said, don't watch television.
Very good.
You got to understand how television works, why they broadcast at a certain frequency off the TV screens. Then you got to find out how the human body works. Then you got to learn about subliminal suggestions, how all that works.
Right.
This is going on to the American public all the time.
All the time.
365 days of the year. So they sold the World Trade Center to the American people and the Pentagon being hit in that crisis for a couple of years, and then it happened right on time. Right on time. I'll say it. I looked at all the information starting with day one. I was in heavy construction at the time. You people that built these skyscrapers. Matter of fact, you're one of them.
Yes. I was on a World Trade Center.
Anyhow, from a teenager up, I knew the guys that were the steeplejacks and things like that. I knew how these buildings were built.
Yep.
I knew guys that were demolition experts. I knew how you demoed things, even though I didn't do it personally. As soon as I saw the films for the first time, I didn't know, by the way, that the destruction had come about, because I was working that day around here, and I didn't even know what was going on. The buildings, I just heard that they had come down. I just said, well, why did they demolition the buildings for? Because I said the buildings were solid. When I saw the films, I hadn't heard all the news. I just saw it coming down. I said, well, why did demolition? I said, because I could see it was demolition. I'm looking at it. I said, well, I said, look, you can see the
implosion.
I said, you can see the cutter charges going down.
Right.
And I said, the news people, I did hear like one person say later, hey, the loud explosions in the basement. I said, yeah, you cut the supports out down here, cutter charges so it all implodes on itself.
Right.
Well, I hadn't actually heard the news part. I just saw the film because I was in there buying parts in the store, and I saw them come down. I said, well, why did they demolition the building? They said, they didn't demo the building. Terrorists brought that down. Well, I looked at it and I said, terrorists didn't bring that down. Somebody went in there and demoed the building. Did they have a structural problem? They had to hurry up and bring them down for the buildings fell over something nobody knew. And they said, no, planes hit them. And then that's when I later saw the stuff about the planes and all that. Right. And then I said, well, how do I know? Blue Blazers, did Building 7 come down?
You know, Mike,
we can't really get into all this now. We don't have time.
Unfortunately, you know, I was working in Harlem at the time. I went home. I lived in Pennsylvania, and a guy was looking at a Russian newspaper, and he looked at me and he says, "Did you know that the towers came down? Didn't come from the plane?" He said, "That was from inside." I said, "Yes, sir, but I can't. I tell people that, but they don't believe me." It was an implosion.
I got an actual footage that a cameraman, they try to capture this film of the workmen running out of Building 7, warning everybody, get out of here, because this building's coming down now. It's going to explode and it's going to come down. Well, how do they know it was going to explode and come down? It hadn't even been so-called hit yet. Well, that's another whole thing that we can't get in. Why am I saying all this? Preparing the mind of the people to accept a certain thing so that when it happens, they just accept it.
Right.
Well, that's how you herd sheep, that's how you herd cattle, that's how you herd horses. The horses, the cattle, all them, they know to go in a herd. If you ever have known any people that's owned ranches or been in farming like I have when I was young, you know you don't want the animals to stampede.
Right.
And you know, like when they're herding the cattle, like in the cow, all of a sudden the guy starts singing a song, "Get along, little dog," but that's to calm them down. So whenever the American people start to get too excited, they start calming them down. Oh, there's more sports. There's more junk on TV. There's more anything to distract. Distraction, distraction, distraction. Okay.
Oh, Jesus.
Okay, so anyhow, that happened with the Y2K, and I could go on. There's a whole lot of other examples. This PSYOPs thing is going on. They're just two big examples I wanted to bring out. So I'm looking at now, well, they're going to be doing this to Donald Trump. I said, there's no question about it. They had just realized they have lost control. Well, now I start examining Donald Trump. Time for me to start. I've never been a fan of this man. Time for me to really, but I've kept tabs on him. There's a difference between not being a fan and keeping tabs. Or being a fan and keeping tabs. Kept tabs. So this guy's going to be interesting in the future. My father, by the way, met Donald Trump. Said it was one of the nicest men he ever met.
That's what I hear.
That was an influence on me. So anyhow, I said he's going to run now. I said now they're going to pull out all the stops in mainline media because they own them all. Said they own mainline media. I had a friend that actually worked at CBS. So at any rate, the mainline media. Plus the fact I'm one of the biggest takedowns there was in the country at the time. I was working at a newspaper at the time. I actually happened to be at the spot at the right time in the newspaper for when that government came down. I was there. That shows you how God works.
Amen.
I hadn't planned to be there.
Right.
But I was there that night when that limo pulled up and there was a hellish fight in the newspaper. Anyhow, that government fell. So at any rate, I know how the newspapers work. I know how the broadcasting work. So they're going to come after them. They're going to have to taint the news. It's going to be another Y2K. It's going to be another World Trade Center psych job. I said, these people are expert. That's exactly what you saw.
Yes, yeah, and that's
exactly what you saw.
Yep.
And so I'm saying, well, Hollywood is wrapped up with most of these people. But I said, they're not all. But I said, you're going to see a few of the good people come out. But most of Hollywood is wrapped up in all this satanic stuff.
Yes.
And all this other stuff. And I said, that means that what they're doing is going to fall all apart. So you're going to have to see all these Hollywood stars and these television personalities come out. And I've been telling people this. This is why I said, this is what you expect now. I said, there's nothing that they're not going to do. I said, don't be surprised by anything. I said, the thing of it now is, are they going to be able to scare Trump off? Well, after I watched Trump for a little while, I said, this man doesn't scare. I said, not only that, he's a billionaire. He knows that if this country goes down under the New World Order, he's going to become one of their water boys.
That's right.
Because compared to them, he's a billionaire, but they're trillionaire.
Right.
They're going to look at him like he's a water boy. And I said, Donald Trump's personality says, I'm not a water boy for anybody. He realizes and he knows he's going to lose everything. Oh, he might still be a billionaire, but that'd be like you being a dog and someone's holding your leash.
Right.
Well, I got news for you. He ain't nobody's dog. Nobody's putting a collar on him and holding his leash down. So now then, I'm looking at this and I'm saying, oh, we got this bulldog coming out. One time I posted a thing, Donald Trump and the lion. And I said, that's more like it. I said, they got this, and he's going to do more than just roar. And I said, now how's he going to beat these folks? Because they control everything. He's going to have to go on a campaign. I'm telling people this. He's going to have to come on the campaign and hit it hard. He's going to have to drive and drive and drive, and they're going to do everything they can. And they are going to lie and lie and lie constantly about his turnouts and everything. Well, I went to a turnout in my town here. The convention center was completely, totally packed.
And people outside.
Every room in the building was totally packed. He had to go to each room separately after a while so that people at least know that he was there. They could hear him when he was in the main convention room where I was. They had the fire marshal closed the building down, said no more can be let in the building.
People standing all outside.
Now then, when we went outside, my son and I, we talked to some police. They said there's been so many people here, we had to turn away 2,000 or 3,000, couldn't even let them on the property.
Right.
Well, how do you think the news report? Well, there's 2,000 or 3,000 there.
The one that was led away.
2,000 or 3,000.
That left.
We estimated, talking to the police, there were at least 15,000 there. There could have been who knows how many more, but there was no place else to. I mean, they were parking in parking lots, other people's parking lots, across the road, down the highway. Every hotel parking lot in the area was full. Right. People were walking there. We went to one in the town down the road at the airport. Well, the news media report 2,000 or 3,000. Well, yeah, that's all that could be let in there for security reasons in that one little area. You should have seen the line. The line was as wide as my room here, going for at least a mile out to the highway. Then there was cars parked up and down the highways for miles. I guess people drove them in. We were looking out there and I said, how many people are here? 10, 15, 20, 25,000. But that's not what the news reports were. Then Hillary comes in. Her husband came in first the day before she got here. And I had my friends in the other town and in the big town here. I said, how many showed up? They said, well, there was a couple of hundred for Bill in this town. I said, there's no more than that in the other one. But they made it look like there was a huge crowd, by the way. But when the cameraman actually panned a little bit too far, you can see there was nobody there. Well, Hillary came into a college here. Yeah. I said, well, you got a captive audience now. Those kids are going to classes. Naturally, they're going to be walking by. They made it look like there was thousands there. And I said, well, yeah, there's thousands going to the college out there in the open. Well, when you see what's going on, here they painted her with this huge crowd there when there wasn't. Here they painted twice the huge crowds for Bill when there wasn't. And then for Donald Trump, he's got huge crowds where they can't even get the people in, and they're painting it in the mainline news media as if there's nobody there. Exactly like I said would happen. So now I said, now how is he going to get in if they control everything? I did the same Y2K thing. I said, folks, you're going to have to burn up the internets. You're going to have to burn up the phone lines because the government is illegally monitoring all of this. Did you hear my word illegal? Of course, this government doesn't care about laws. They talk about us obeying laws, but they don't obey a single law. They break anyone anytime they want to. Matter of fact, if you put all the lawbreakers in prison, just about everybody in Washington would have to be locked up. I mean, biggest crooks in the world are in Washington, D.C. At any rate, I said, you're going to have to burn it up, just like the Y2K thing. They're going to have to see that you're on to them. I said, they're going to have to see it in Facebook. They're going to have to see it in Twitter. You're going to have to, and everywhere I went, and I contacted all my contacts. I said, this is what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to put the word out.
Right.
They're going to have to burn them out. And I said, not only that, the news media is going to try and make it look like it's a flip. But I said, if you do it, they're not going to succeed. I said, you got to remember that George Soros is out there, everything. So anyhow, that happened. If you noticed, if you really kept up with Twitter, and you really kept up with Facebook, and you really kept, the people started burning them up. And the mainline news media became upset with it, and now they're calling it all fake news.
That's right, that's true.
The real fake news was coming from CBS, ABC, NBC, CNN, and the rest of them. That was the real fake news. They didn't like what they were seeing. Okay?
People got tired.
And then I said, and I kept checking the numbers, because I used to do this in politics. You know, I had to be able to tell my people. I very often would predict in advance within a couple of percentage points what they were going to get, what they were going to win by or lose. I had to. And I said, well, this is what's going to happen, folks. I said, these people can't go out quietly because they got too much at stake. I said, don't think they're going to go quietly. I even published this openly in the public. I said, don't think they're going to go quiet. I said, what I think is going to happen is they may be forced to let Donald Trump win. They don't want to. But there'd be such a riot, and it won't be a riot against America. It's going to be against them, and Americans are going to be coming for blood. And I said, they got these trillions of dollars to lose. They got these mansions to lose. They got everything to lose. They're not ready to lose it yet. So I said, Donald should get 70 to 75% of the vote in a real election. I said, he ain't going to get anywhere near 70, 75%. Now, I'm telling all this months in advance. I said, I know how these people work. I said, he'll just barely win to get in. I said, in that way, he won't have a mandate, which they think they can live with. And somehow they'll handle Hillary and everything through the crooked politics, which you already see the major newsline media trying to bury all this pedophilia stuff, trying to bury the Clinton Foundation, hundreds of millions, billions of dollars disappearing, and the billions of dollars from here and there. I mean, it just amounts to hundreds of billions of dollars of just woof. Not counting all the dead bodies laying everywhere like in Benghazi. Okay. I said, they'll deal with that because they feel like they can still control the Congress. So the Republicans have both houses now. But there's still enough of the other guys left in a filibuster.
Right.
All the rhinos didn't get out of office. There's still enough rhinos, so you get the rhinos combined with the others. They can filibuster or they can stall stuff. Now Trump's got to manage all that. How's he going to manage it? That's going to be, let me tell you folks, he has a hell of a job. Because it isn't just the House and the Senate. You got the courts to deal with, and the bureaucracy of most people he can't get rid of. They are buried deep in the bureaucracy of the CIA, the FBI, name every agency there. They're buried deep. How's he going to get them out? How's he going to work with all of that? How is he going to be able to build the country knowing that behind the scenes that the public doesn't see is all there? So I said, you're going to see this happen. I said, now if they see during the actual election process that just maybe they can get her in, they'll squeak her in. Because they don't want these other people coming at them for blood. So so they're going to try and make the election look legitimate. Either one will squeeze in. Well, they found out that they couldn't control enough, and enough dirt came out of all the fake ballots, all the vote flipping in the machines. Plus there's a central place where all this goes. You can shave a few off there. And you got as many people voting like you got in this country, shaving some millions of votes is no big deal. Then you got the illegals, and he won by what? A shave, didn't he? But that's how he got in. The American people finally woke up, and they put such a scare in these people. They said, we got to let them in. Now it's all control damage. How are they going to control what they consider damage? Now the biggest thing for Trump is not to let them get control of his cabinet. See, the CFR and these people have had the control of every cabinet since after Eisenhower.
And it's a wonder that the American people didn't try to find out a little bit more about what's going on in America with their taxes and how the system is working. Why are they so unemployed? We need jobs here. And now that Trump is trying to get jobs coming back to America, this is another part that we got to talk about. How can we get jobs in America?
Now that if you understand everything I said thus far, this is the natural next step to go to.
And ladies and gentlemen, we're about out of time. I want to thank my guest, Michael Karachun. As always, it's very informative. So right now, we're going to have to leave you, but God bless you, and thank you for watching Stars and Stripes.
I trust you enjoyed today's program. Please contact your congressman and let him know you are displeased with our Constitution being butchered. More executive orders came forth in the last 4 years than ever before in American history. Remember to pray for America. Be strong and of good cheer. Remember, America is worth fighting and dying for, as is Jesus our Lord. Until next time, this is Kenneth T. Jones saying, so long, friends.